We are continuing with Unit 5.10. This is Part 2. We have been talking about Islamic architecture. Muhammad built a place at his house in Medina where his followers could gather, pray, and listen to him speak about Allah. This mosque, enlarged after Muhammad's death, became a model for mosques built later. As the Islamic Empire spread, Muslims built mosques in new lands, yet they followed some important traditions and rules in their construction. For example, all mosques indicate the direction of Mecca, the holiest Islamic city. Muslims face Mecca when they pray. In the 16th and 17th centuries, Islam spread rapidly. Shah Abbas of the Safavid dynasty established Persia, modern Iran, as an economic power and promoted the foreign trade of carpets and other artisan products. Shah Abbas used architecture to demonstrate the power and strength of his empire, particularly in the capital city of Isfahan. He commissioned architects to build and expand magnificent structures on the Nakhsh Jahan Square, a massive open public area. Abbas's palace, 2 mosques, and the Grand Bazaar framed the square. Architects and artists showcase their expertise and innovation in this elaborate mosque that is characteristically Islamic in design and decoration. Imagine standing before the great structure on a sunny day. The brilliant turquoise tiles of the dome glimmer in the sunlight, and the towering minarets stand at attention. As you pass through the entrance, you look up to see elaborate tile work and traditional Persian designs. Inside the mosque, you notice the interior of the great dome is covered in swirling patterns of mosaic tile. You also see elegant calligraphic inscriptions from the Quran bordering the pointed arch of the mihrab.
Mihrab.
While some artisans created beautiful architecture and calligraphy, others were master weavers who turned carpets into works of art. The golden age of Persian carpet making began in the early 16th century and lasted about 150 years. Rugs of all sizes were highly valued throughout the Muslim world, Europe, and the Far East, and were prized as trade items. Persian carpets are functional, but they also are works of art. People sometimes sit and sleep on rugs on the floor rather than on chairs and beds. Faithful Muslims carry small prayer rugs which they unroll and kneel on during daily prayers. Large, highly ornate rugs add beauty to mosques and palaces. European collectors, believing that Persian carpets are too valuable to be placed on the ground, hang carpets on walls or drape them over tabletops. Weavers follow a series of design conventions to incorporate geometric, calligraphic, and plant motifs into symmetrical carpet designs. Weavers vary rug designs, sometimes depicting a mihrab. Designs also vary by location and by the carpet's function. For instance, Persian carpets are usually the most elaborate and are filled with the curving arabesques and interlacing plants. Inspired by the Quran's depiction of paradise, weavers incorporate lush gardens full of flowering trees, fountains, and birds into their garden carpet designs. Turkish weavers favor a central medallion design surrounded with beautiful floral motifs and framed with rectangular borders. Weaving techniques. Traditional carpet weavers used a loom to create the lush, soft pile of the carpet. They tie tiny knots of colored wool or silk into the vertical warp threads secured to the loom. To secure each row of knots, they weave horizontal weft threads over and under the warp threads. A fine Turkish or Persian carpet can have 1,000 or more knots per square inch. Knot designs vary by region. Turkish weavers traditionally used a symmetrical knot, and Persian and Egyptian weavers use an asymmetrical knot. So here in this visual on the right, we see Turkish knots are symmetrical and Persian knots are asymmetrical. So that's things are not equal on both sides. The Persian garden carpet we'll talk about in our next video.